Diary entry number 2. Um, had a pretty good day. Took my meds a little bit early last night. Kind of made me feel a little bit groggy this morning. Um, Went out with my partner. Just went around the local shops. I had to take an extra dose of my day medication, just to make sure that I wouldn't freak out around her. I had a couple of instances where I was feeling like I might. But all in all, it was a pretty good outing. Sat down, had lunch, which we both ended up not finishing because it tasted like absolute garbage. She's currently at her mum and dad's. We got home from the shops and I set up the lamps that we went out and bought, and went to go and help a friend, and then got a phone call and he didn't need my help anymore. A little bit annoying, but shit happens. But all in all, it's been a pretty good day. I haven't felt down. I haven't felt like I was yesterday. But that's at this moment. I mean, the drive to go and help my friend, I'm on my own. I've got music cranking, and I'm on my own with nothing but my thoughts. This was a problem for me a while ago, where I was driving close to about 1,000 k every day, going between jobs and where I was living out in the country. And that was really dangerous because I was driving extremely tired and I was spending a lot of time just kind of left in my own thoughts. And that's when I'm at my worst because I don't shut my brain off. I don't know how. In the several years that I've been dealing with the separation between my ex-wife and myself, not talking with my family for a long period of time, I made a very stupid decision the last time I lived with my mum and my dad, where I stole jewellery. I stole jewellery from them, and I went and sold it to go and self-medicate. I admitted to that. I was arrested. I've got charges, criminal charges on my record, because my mum and dad had me charged. And I've got no issues with them for doing it. I'm, as much as it's a hindrance in the aspect of struggling to be able to get work, being able to go on vacation to certain countries, it's that side of things is annoying, but I did that to myself, and I can't hate mum and dad for that. And I love them with all my heart. I speak to them maybe once or twice a month through Skype, mainly because it's easier for me to be able to do that in the safety of my own home. They live about half hour, 45-minute drive from where I live. My dad's retired, my mum's still working. They're currently on vacation, so I'm looking forward to when they come back and being able to talk to them. But yeah, don't really know how I wanted to go through with this, but from talking with a few people, it's a way for me to be able to vocalize what it is that is driving me into this madness. and I really don't know. I really wish I did know. I wish I was able to be able to say, this is what's driving me nuts, so I can cut that off and move on. I've done that with a few friends throughout my life when it's become an issue. I treat it like cancer. I cut it off and move on. That's how I've been my entire life. Mainly to avoid getting into fights, mainly to avoid getting into more trouble than I bring on myself. Yeah. I guess I should probably really open up about why I went through divorce at such a young age. Apart from the fact that I got married very young, and from there I made a lot of really bad decisions in my life. My children weren't one of them. They aren't to me, I've never seen them as a issue that needed to be dealt with. I've seen them as an issue that needed to be addressed when I was old enough and wise enough to be able to explain to them that I can't keep doing it. My ex-wife and I were arguing every day. I was working really strenuous hours, and it had just gotten to a point where something had to give. Someone had to make a hard decision, and I've lived most of my life being the person that's had to make the hard decisions. Throughout most of my relationships, I have been that person. With my current partner, we originally had 3 dogs. The first was my girl. She was a American Rottweiler Cross Shar-Pei. I named her Athena. She was my Christmas present. We moved out of her mum and dad's, moved into a property where we had half an acre backyard, and the hours we were working, we decided to get her a friend. So we got Dozer, which we still have. He is a purebred European Rottweiler, who still thinks that he is a puppy. At 3 years old, I'm not expecting it to change anytime soon. I can remember when I went to go and pick him up. I had an old Ford XG Ute. For those of you in Australia, you'll know that as the more really beaten down Ford Utes that are still going to this day. And I had him on the passenger seat. I had my sun guard around the seat as well as some cardboard, so he had room to kind of walk around, but he wasn't able to get out. Well, that was the theory. It didn't work out that way. He climbed out over the top of that, sat on my lap, and pushed the horn the whole way down Great Eastern Highway from going down Swan Hill. So I had people going past, flipping me off, and then they'd see this puppy, and I would just look at them and say, "I'm sorry, I can't help it." Because he was way too little to throw on the back of the ute, and I've never agreed on throwing dogs in the back of the ute unless you're on your own property. Being out on a major road such as Great Eastern Highway or freeways and that, and having a dog chained up to the back, I've seen instances where dogs have jumped off and had their neck broken. Being an animal lover, I could not fathom doing that myself. I struggle allowing my dog to be in the back of the car, not being tied up to the extent of he's still able to walk to and from each of the rear windows, but he can't hurt himself by jumping out. And when we the other one we had was out of their first litter, so that was a unexpected litter that we had when we moved into our new place. So in among the day of move day itself was when she decided she was going to give birth. She had a litter of 11. We lost one because she rolled over and laid on it, which was really sad. I cried. And I ended up choosing one of the females out of the litter to raise. Yeah, from there there was a second accidental litter probably about a year later, and because of the size of the backyard, the hours that my partner and I were working before my injury, my partner does an average of about 80 to 90 hours a week, give or take, depending on whether she's got to stay back and do more, which she doesn't have a problem doing, because the owner of the company looks after her, so she's more than happy. And I don't have a problem with it. Myself, I was getting somewhere close to those hours whilst I was working, and the only difference was I was doing 7 days. My partner only does 6, so she at least gets 1 day off a weekend, which is to me a little bit rough, but we try and make it work. That's something that we're both really focusing on. But yeah, so a hard decision there was I ended up giving up both females because we just could not afford to have 3 dogs. It wasn't fair on them for the amount of space, not being able to spend enough time with them. Even though I'm home now, and I do spend as much time with our boy as I can, it wouldn't have been fair to the other 2. And we weren't really able to have people come around because the eldest, my girl Athena, she was overprotective. My dad, for instance, who is one person that I was stunned that Athena wouldn't go near, was very viciously growling at him at our old place when we were having a party and we had a whole heap of people come up and whereas our male, we can have anyone come in, and providing we know who you are, and most people that have friends that have dogs will spend time actually allowing that dog to come up and get to know you. So that way there's no fear. I've had some of my partner's nieces and a nephew come and stay over that were petrified of dogs, and yet with him they were fine. He just wants to play. But yeah, my ex-wife and I were fighting pretty ferociously. I had a bit of a temper. I never hit her. I did I put a very large indent of my fist in the freezer because I didn't know how to cope with it. It took me a long time to be able to know what my triggers were. My ex-wife knew how to trigger them very quickly. I think a lot of women know how to trigger their partners very quickly. And it's something that I'm still coping with today. And that's part of what I'm doing with my psychologist that I see, is learning what it is that is so angry inside and being able to put it out there. But today I've been pretty good. I've seen a few posts by my ex-wife that made me raise my eyebrows a little bit over the situations that she's going through. I've also seen some posts from some friends that I haven't spoken to in a long time, from arguments that we've had, and that made me kind of realise that I'm holding on to too much, and I'm starting to bear a grudge against a lot of people that I really shouldn't worry too much about. I want to be able to just bury the hatchet and let it go. Um, but it's something that I still don't know how to. I can't word it. It's something that I still need to grasp. Um, this week coming up, I've got a couple of very big days ahead of me. I've got a case conference with WorkCover Australia, and my lawyers are going to be present, as well as my understanding the insurance company and my employer. Over the fact that I haven't had a pay in so long, and the reasoning behind the insurance company putting it on hold, my lawyer agrees that it is quite pitiful, and there is no evidence to back it up. So I'm looking forward to being able to sort that out and get my weekly pay reinstated and be able to move forward. Fingers crossed. Apparently there's been an issue with one of the sub companies, I guess you could say. One of my boss's childhood friends died, and it's been classed as a homicide. So my partner informed me of this and told me there may be a possibility that my employee may not turn up. I'm not 100% sure, but I will find out. So I've got that to look forward to. I also have a psychiatrist appointment so that they can do an impairment assessment on what it is that has triggered from my injury. Some people question whether or not this is actually from my injury, whether or not this is to do with a history of issues that haven't been dealt with. And with all fairness, that they can have that opinion. I know myself that since my injury, everything has been kicked into overdrive. As I said in the video yesterday, I'm not who I was, and that scares me. I used to be able to walk around with this Jekyll and Hyde personality, and not be afraid of what may come. However, now I am. Because now, unlike before, I had no control. I have absolute zero control over the monster. And that scares me. Because I'd like to be able to have my partner not be petrified. I'd like her friends to not be afraid of me. Some of them have seen me snap. Some of them before the injury, where I was just I was very angry at a situation, and when I finally admitted it, I started to move on. However, I've gone back, and I've gone back to that with everything being in overdrive. I don't know how to shut it off. So yeah, I'm sitting in this chair, talking into this camera, and putting everything out on YouTube, on the Father's Rights of Australia page, because I designed the page to be somewhere where people that are going through what I have, in the aspect of their exes won't let them see their kids, they're fighting for visitation, fighting for custody, or like myself, have kind of looking for a way to be able to vent and feel safe. I'm all for people having a difference of opinion. I am all for people being able to speak their mind and be free. I think I might leave it at there. This is my second entry, and I wasn't expecting a lot to be able to come out. But pushing myself to do this is a challenge in itself. So I apologize if this isn't really what you were interested in. Then don't click on it. Don't watch it. If there's something that you want to know, give me a call, so to speak. Flick me a message on whatever platform this is, and let me know what you'd like to hear. This for me is an escape. I used to be able to write poetry. I'll probably share some of it on the page. But I can't even write music anymore. This for me is going to be my canvas. This is me putting everything out there, so I'm not holding anything back. And for people that are going through similar situations, let me tell you, you're not alone. It's okay to be afraid. I'll end this on a meme I came across years ago, back when MySpace and I think it was Bebo or something were popular. A friend that I made online that I haven't spoken to in years shared that to me. Was something that one of my favorite wrestlers. Yes, I enjoy the WWE wrestling. Don't judge me. I still think it's cool. I still pop. One of my favorite wrestlers, Jeff Hardy, who is a poet, who is a musician. He came out. I forget what the interview was, but he turned around and said, "Don't be afraid to be different, because being the same is way more terrifying." And that's something that has re-sparked. So that's how I'm going to end it. Don't be afraid to be different, because being the same is way more terrifying. So this will end this diary entry. Let me know what you think. Until tomorrow. I will speak to you then.